Hi, I'm Randy Nesse from the Arizona State University Center for Evolutionary Medicine. Our guest today is Kevin Foster from Oxford University, who studied how bacteria get along or don't get along. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
So listen, I've always thought of bacteria as kind of living off by themselves in the jungle, just trying to make their way into life and making copies of themselves. Do they live like that?
Well, some may do, but actually what we think now is that bacteria typically live in large, dense groups, so many cells together. And in those groups, they interact with one another and affect each other. And indeed, the way that they interact in these sort of groups is fundamental to understanding how they behave. Now, I mean, historically, there has been a tendency to study bacteria as sort of solitary individuals swimming in broth. And that proved to be a very powerful way to understand things in molecular biology, because in that world, you really want to understand how one gene or one function occurs. And that can be good, just study one strain or one cell. But it's not how they live, and it's perhaps led to something of a sort of misdirection in research. And now we're just really sort of catching up with them, and I think treating them as these dense, diverse, interacting communities that they really are. People like to use the term microbial jungle. It really is a jungle for them. And understanding how they interact is central to what we're trying to do now. Yeah.
So for bacteria, are there actually families of related ones that act differently with each other compared with others in the neighborhood?
Yeah, that's what we think. Yeah, exactly. So not all bacteria get along. So many of the antibiotics that we use to treat infection nowadays come from bacteria. And so
they're doing biowarfare with each other?
They really are, yeah. Well, both biowarfare and chemical warfare. So they release all kinds of antibiotics that kill other bacteria, and they also release viruses that infect other bacteria to take them down. So there is a lot of competition, as I say, in what could be called a microbial jungle. But
So let's go on in just a minute to how many different ways bacteria attack each other.
Yeah, that's a good and fun question to answer, one I'll enjoy answering. So they have many ways to kill each other, many draconian methods. The simplest is to make a poison toxin, I should say more formally, that will cause some damage to the cell. It'll damage its DNA or its cell wall. So that's very standard. But the really interesting ones are sort of the physical mechanisms. So they release modified viruses. So these viruses no longer actually infect bacteria, but they use the same machinery that the virus would use to infect to kill other cells. And so the best one I know about is a case which is basically a hole punch. So they release these modified viruses, and they don't stick to their own cells, but they'll move out into the environment and stick to
literally punch holes?
And just punch holes and eviscerate the other bacteria.
That's mean.
It's very mean. Yeah, it's not all nice in the bacterial world.